Good morning. good to be here. Stop it. Okay. Let's begin by singing 1058. Be ours a religion. Please rise and body your spirit. And we'd like to welcome Stephen Ferriamus, first Sunday here as our pianist. Thank you, Stephen. Here we go, 1058.
If everybody now will join me in our chalice lighting. We light this chalice to celebrate Unitarian Universalism. This is the church of the open mind. This is the church of the helping hands. This is the church of the loving heart. Together, we care for the church and each other. Good morning. My name is Ravensong, and I will be worship associate today with some additional help from Rob Thacker. Our sermon will be on video, a message from the current UUA president, Susan Frederick Gray. You might notice the video is over here on the side. It's about a 15-minute video, so when we get to that part, you might want to scoot your chairs around a little bit so you can see it. I am especially happy to welcome you to St. John's Unitarian Universalist Church today as we navigate worship around the restoration of the front wall of our sanctuary. As you know, this is Memorial Day weekend. This federal holiday is designated specifically for honoring and mourning the U.S. military personnel who have died while serving in the United States Armed Forces. Over 1.2 million men and women have died since the beginning of the Civil War in 1861. After Joys and Concerns today, we will be reading the names of some of those who have died in service to our country. If you have not provided me a name yet, you can do that now and put it on the table during Joys and Concerns. For those online, you can provide that, and I will get that and read those as well. St. John's is proud to be a welcoming congregation, and as such, we honor and value the racial, economic, cultural, age, physical ability, sexual orientation, and gender diversity of our members and visitors. Know that wherever you are in your journey, and however you are feeling, you are welcome here, and we're happy that you chose to be with us today. A special welcome to any visitors this morning. I invite you to stop by the welcome table in our lobby and to join us for refreshments and conversations in our fellowship hall after the service. As a reminder, please turn off or silence your phones. And again, welcome to all this morning. The first reading that I chose this morning is called In Flanders Fields and may be familiar to some of you. It was written by John McCrae, who was born on November 30th, 1872, and was a Canadian doctor and teacher who served in World War I. He died in 1918. The term Flanders Fields refer to World War I battlefields in an area in the Belgian provinces. In Flanders fields, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place. And in the sky, the larks, still bravely singing, fly scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields. Now I'd like to invite Melissa up to give an announcement.
Good morning, everyone. I have a little announcement to tell you. We have been working for quite some time now on the interim search process, which involves developing our profile and sending that out to everyone that is searching for an interim church to serve. We had several people interested, several ministers interested in serving our congregation, and we were able to secure a contract with Reverend Jennifer Gray Grayson. She will be starting with us in the beginning of August for a one-year term with the option to renew for a second year. And we are extremely excited about this opportunity. I'll read you a little bit of what was in the order in the e-news last week. Reverend Jennifer Grayson is a transitional minister focusing on intentional, interim, developmental, and consulting ministries. She loves supporting congregations in times of growth and change while learning about and being part of the wide variety of stories we are writing together. You can read more about her in the e-news. Please read the e-news for this last Tuesday and for future Tuesdays. All the Tuesdays, read the e-news, please. There's lots of good information in the e-news, like information about her and like information about the construction project. And thank you very much, everyone.
We're now going to sing hymn number 160. Far too long. Please rise and bow your spirit.
Now, if you will, please join me in our affirmation of faith. This is the mission of our faith, to teach the fragile art of hospitality, to revere both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to witness to all that we must hold the whole world in our hands. All of us carry with us every day joys, sorrows, and concerns. We'd like to invite you to join us in sharing those by coming up and placing a stone in the bone of sand, which is now over there. If you would like yours shared with the congregation, please write it down and leave it on the table. If you are joining us online, you can leave it in the chat. We will also be reading the names of those who have died in service to our country. So if you've not already provided me your names, you can leave those on the table as well. I have added 3 additional stones to the bowl this morning. One, to represent those joys, concerns, and sorrows left unspoken. A second, to remember all those who have died in service to our country. And a third, to honor the 165 people who died in the Beverly Hills fire, which was 46 years ago today. I have a quick announcement. There were keys to a RAV4 that were found in the parking lot. Please contact an usher in the lobby if the keys belong to you. And I have one joy. Eleanor said she rode the Bat roller coaster at Kings Island, and it was so joyful. Okay, Ashley, I'd like to invite up to do the story for all ages.
Good morning. My name is Ashley Rhodes, and I am in charge of children's programming here at St. John's. And this is our time for all ages. And actually, mostly, I'm going to ask you all questions. Is that okay? Okay. So the first one, are we excited that it's summer? Yeah? Yeah?
We're about to go on a camp out to Shawnee State Park.
Oh,
I'll be done with school.
you are done with school. So what are we excited about? I heard excited for a camp out. What else? What are you guys excited about?
Summer break.
Summer break?
I'm excited for the pool.
For going to the
which
pool?
opens tomorrow.
Yep.
Hooray.
We're excited for the pool that opens tomorrow. Okay, so that's summer, right? We get to do lots of different things, outside things. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So I have a question for you. So what the grown-ups are talking about today is kind of transitions. So how many of you have thought about the fact that most finished like whole grade recently? Like, well, you just finished kindergarten, Juliana. And what are you going to be doing in the fall?
First grade.
Yes, first grade. So anybody else, what grade did you just finish?
I finished fourth grade, and I'm probably the oldest person here.
Yeah. So I heard first grade, second grade, fourth grade, kindergarten, and then next year you're going to be in a whole other grade. Preschool. Are you going to be doing kindergarten next year? Oh, that's a big one. So, I don't. Is anybody anxious for going to something new next year? You're going to have a new teacher.
I don't know what to think because we're gonna do a big state test and they time you on it. It's just
So you know that state testing is coming and it's kind of anxiety producing. Yeah?
But it was in like the middle of the year last time I did it.
Yeah.
I had to do like 10 tests this year because my school is awful and it makes us do tests every
Okay.
2 months. I like diagnostic.
Okay. Okay. So Meredith, you're actually switching to a whole other district, right?
Yes.
So are you nervous about that?
No,
No?
not. I'm just happy I don't have to go to the school anymore because I'm done with Mrs. Shumrick.
So yeah, Meredith was not a fan of her previous school experience, so she is happy about this transition. So anybody anxious, maybe worried, or just like I don't know what's going to happen, or maybe we're not thinking about that yet.
Oh, and at the end of the year, last day of school, third grade also did a Peter Pan play. We didn't get to watch the whole thing, but still.
So you're thinking you're going to have to do a play next year? Okay. So is that anxiety inducing? Yeah. Okay, so what
I want to do a play. Me too.
So what do you guys do when you're anxious about something like that? Like when you're anxious about next year, what do you do? You're maybe not anxious right now, you're thinking about campouts, but like, I don't know what's coming. So what do you do?
I usually read, basically. Yeah, I read.
So you think about something else?
Yeah.
Okay.
And when it's
Hold on.
Oh, and I got a new book by Roald Dahl.
Okay.
ECO Trot.
So what in the fall, if things go badly, what are you going to like, or if you're struggling, or if you're really like worried about what's going to happen next, what are you going to do?
I'm just gonna work it out.
Going to work it? Well, okay. How are you going to work it out?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what problem we're talking about.
Okay. So,
Me.
oh, sorry. Stop. Okay. So, I think so. One of the things we're talking about. So you guys don't seem that anxious. So maybe you guys have some advice for the grown-ups, because that's kind of what we're talking about today. Is like, well, we've got some transitions coming up, and maybe we're not sure about that. So what advice would you maybe give to the grown-ups? Well, like how to handle a big change. Because you guys actually, like that's one of the things about being a kid is that you have to deal with change all the time. You guys don't think about it because you're just like in it. But like things change all the time, not just from kindergarten to first grade, but like constantly, you know? So grown-ups kind of get out of practice. So what you guys have any advice? Before we say that again.
Take a nap.
That's actually really great advice. Thank you, Meredith. Sometimes the best thing is to take a nap. What else we got before we go outside? You got advice?
Not advice, something that I want to do.
Okay, quick.
When I'm in first grade, I want to do like 3 plays.
Yeah. All right, what else? What other advice we got?
I watched 3 plays this year.
So when you say read, do you mean read for fun, or do you mean like read to like learn about stuff to help you?
To read for fun.
Okay. So again, distract yourself. Any other advice?
Going outside.
Going outside. What's your other advice, Meredith?
If you don't want to take a nap, take a break.
Take a break. Okay. So what's your advice?
Taking a break on the couch or playing outside with your friends.
Oh, friends. Friends are helpful. Now, that was one of the things I was going to make sure we mentioned was sometimes friends are asking for help or talking about it with people. That's really important. Yeah. But actually, I think I'm going to stick with that. I really like your answers because sometimes we forget that as advice when something stressful is happening. Like, just take a break. And it's summer. That's what we're doing, right?
Taking a break. Taking a break. Taking a break.
All right, you know what? We're going to leave it there because I was going to let you guys decide what to say. So you know what? I think I like that advice. So sometimes when things are changing constantly, it's important to be able to take a break or read a book. Yes, we are going to go outside now.
Yay!
All right, well, thank you all for your attention. And we are going to go outside. So.
As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return. As we leave this friendly place, love give light to every face. May the kindness which we learn light our hearts till we return.
When I was on retreat at Auschwitz-Birkenau, we spent the bulk of each day sitting around the railroad tracks at Birkenau and saying the names of those who had died there. We recited thousands and thousands of names. And what I came to understand was that those names held energy. And it is probably the most important thing I have ever done, to remember and to honor those people who died. So I'm going to read some names today of those who have both died in service to the country and were in service to the country and died after. Some of these names came from you, and I have added a couple from my family, and then the rest I chose randomly from lists of service members who had died. Wilson Halley, Eugene Hahn, William McLeod Eccles, died in 1946. Brigadier General Hugh Mercer, died in 1777 at the Battle of Princeton. Private Edward S. Kelso died in 1834 as a POW at Andersonville Prison in Georgia. Bernard Pellman served in the Air Force 1951 to 1955, died in March of 2023. Tom Ebbing, in the Air Force at Okinawa during Vietnam War and died at age 60 from brain cancer in 2004 at home on the winter solstice. Sergeant Tatiana Reed, 34, of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, killed on July 22nd, 2004 in Iraq. Specialist Ronnie D. Williams, 26, of Erlanger, died in July 2005 in Baghdad. Lance Corporal Justin D. Sims, 22, of Covington, died April 15th, 2006 in Al-Anbar Province, Iraq. Chief Petty Officer Gregory J. Billiter, 36, of Villa Hills, died April 6, 2007, near Kirkuk, Iraq. Lance Corporal Adam D. Peake, 25, of Florence, died February 21st, 2010, in Helmand Province, Afghanistan. Private Brandon D. Pickering, 21, of Fort Thomas, died April 10th, 2011, in Landstuhl, Germany. Marine Captain Tyler B. Swisher, 35, of Cincinnati, died October 21st, 2005, in Iraq. Staff Sergeant Richard T. Pummel, 27, of Cincinnati, killed October 20th, 2005, near Nasr wa Salam, Iraq. Marine Lance Corporal Taylor Przynski, 20, of Fairfield, died May 9th, 2005, in Iraq. Army Specialist James C. Wright, 27, of Delhi Township, killed September 18th, 2003, near Tikrit. Chief Master Sergeant Tressa Zanette King died August 3rd, 2021 in Kuwait. And First Lieutenant Joseph Trent Alba died July 12, 2020 in Kandahar. And from Wanda Crawford, she provided the name of an uncle she never knew, Gene Crawford. Died age 19. He was a Marine in Okinawa, August 9th, 1945. And now if you will join me in a short meditation, which I have lost. There it is. In this stillness, we allow our inner light to bathe us in warmth, to illuminate our joys and embrace our sadness. We allow that light to shine brightly on those who dance with joy and to softly blanket those in need of comfort. We recognize the transitory nature of all things, and yet we live and celebrate in hope. In this stillness, we remember those who have gone before and rejoice in those yet to come. In this stillness, we allow the light within to illuminate our path forward and show us the way. And now is the time for our offertory. Please give as you are able. Thank you, Stephen. Okay, if everybody will now join me in the responsive reading, number 720. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them.
Beginnings of the year, and when it ends, we remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them.
When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them.
When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we are now going to listen to the sermon, which is on this monitor over here, so if you can adjust yourselves, it's about 15 minutes long.
Hello, Unitarian Universalists. I'm Susan Frederick Gray, president of your Unitarian Universalist Association, and it is my joy to be with you today. One of the gifts of these pandemic times has been the ways we have grown in our capacity to connect across congregations and across our association. Over 5 years ago, when I was elected president of the UUA, I knew there was no way I could visit every UU congregation as much as I would have liked to have done so. And yet, through technology and being able to offer a message that any and all of our congregations can use, I am grateful to be able to connect in this way and share with you some of what I witness from my vantage point as I pay attention to our association as a whole and the dynamics of our changing world. For more than a year now, I have been talking about these times we are living in as liminal times. Liminal means a time in between, when what has been is no longer and what is ahead is still unclear. The pandemic upended so much of our lives, and yet what is next is still unfolding, still being imagined. I know that many of us are no strangers to this experience, and that for many of our congregations, we are experiencing layers of liminality, layers of transitions. I can relate as I finish my last year as your UUA president, and the UUA prepares to welcome our next president. The UUA president will be elected by delegates from our congregations this coming June at our General Assembly online and in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I hope you will send your delegates. In addition to all of our own personal transitions, a number of our congregations are in various modes of change. Many are in ministerial search or hiring processes for other staff. Others are in their first year of welcoming new staff. You know, across our congregations, we are seeing a lot of staff transition and a shortage of interim ministers. Like a lot of caring professions, we have seen religious professionals leave their work, needing a break after what has been a grueling few years of both pastoral, prophetic, and technological demands. It has all been so much. It could be said that we're all learning to live and adapt in the in-between. We know from these last several years, both the challenge and the losses, as well as the creativity and possibility of these transitional times. And the lessons from these times are crucial to bring forward because in truth, there is still so much change happening and needed within and around all of us. This is certainly true in our congregations, where the ways in which people connect to religious community have broadened and shifted, and new patterns are still developing. And it's true in our country, where we continue to witness systems and practices break down with devastating impacts. From healthcare and infrastructure to basic goods and services, to the economy, to democracy, our system has shown tremendous weaknesses that impact the vulnerable most acutely. Human and civil rights are being rolled back at an alarming rate, and these fissures overall reflect a society that has put profit and power over people's lives. Now, in times of change and disruption, there is always a risk that fear and anxiety will dominate and lead people to cling more tightly to what has been, to a status quo that has never served the cause of human need, nor the values of justice and equity. But here's the thing. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are a people of faith. We are a people of hope and imagination. And I witness this in so many places across our faith, from congregations that continue to partner and share resources, to the energy and volunteers of UU the Vote, to our congregations boldly sacrificing to support people in accessing reproductive care, and to all of our congregations celebrating and being a loving community for trans and non-binary children and youth and their families. And so, when so much is uncertain, it matters that we lean in even more to what we know to be true, the life-saving message of our theology and the life-affirming practices of the beloved community. So there is this wonderful parable from the late Denon Perry, a writer and humanitarian, that uses the metaphor of a trapeze artist to describe the experience of living in transition times. This is from the Parable of the Trapeze from Perry's book, Warriors of the Heart. He writes, "Most of the time, I spend my life hanging on for dear life to my trapeze bar of the moment. It carries me along at a certain steady rate of swing, and I have that feeling that I am in control of my life. But every once in a while, I see another trapeze bar swinging toward me. Each time it happens, I pray that I won't have to let go of my old bar completely before I grab the new one. But in my knowing place, I know that I must totally release my grasp on the old bar, and for some moment in time must hurtle across space before I can grab on to the new bar. Each time, I'm filled with terror. It doesn't matter that in all my previous hurdles across the void of unknowing, I have always made it. Still, each time I'm afraid that I will miss. I do it anyway. Perhaps this is the essence of what the mystics call the faith experience. No guarantees, no net, no insurance policy, but you do it anyway because somehow to keep hanging on to that old bar is no longer on the list of alternatives. So for an eternity that can last a microsecond or 1,000 lifetimes, I soar through the void of the past is gone, the future is not yet. It's called transition, and I've come to believe that this transition is the only place that real change occurs. And I mean real change, not the pseudo change that only lasts until the next time my old buttons get pushed. What a powerful metaphor that is about our lives today. And a reminder that real change, needed change, is possible, perhaps only possible in these transition times. Now, there's a few nuggets of wisdom in this story to really draw out. First, as Perry says, as much as we want to stay holding on to our current bar, it just doesn't work that way. We have to totally release our grasp on the old to make way for the new. And this is not easy. I want to be clear, for in times of change, there's a real tension between longing for what was, what we knew was stable, familiar, and meaningful, even if it was not that for everybody, and the opportunity to imagine something new, new forms, new practices, new possibilities in our lives and community. This is so relevant for our congregations today. The pandemic completely changed so much of congregational life and how we gather. And as we navigate what comes next, there's a real tension within many of our communities. Some of us know we can't go back. We know we need something different, and we're ready and excited for that future. But we can also have anxiety and a desperate desire to know for sure what comes next. We want that certainty, whereas others long for what was, because we are all often attached to what has been familiar to us in our past. And so many people want that familiar congregational experience again. But the truth is, both of these are seeking attachment when we are in the midst of transition. And being able to stay in the transition, growing more comfortable with being in that void and uncertainty, is the place where growth really happens. And this means experimentation and creativity. And this can be challenging because we want to know what comes next before letting go of what we have always done. But we can spend all our time trying to answer questions we don't have answers to, or we can just go for it and start experimenting with living our theology in ways that give us courage and resilience today. And this means bringing creativity and generosity and care to the children and youth and families that are so in need because of this pandemic. And it means courage to answer the call to fully live in active solidarity with those who know how much is on the line and working to bring about more justice, equity, and compassion to fruition. Because here's the other gem in the parable. When the trapeze artist lets go of the bar, they do not free fall. There is momentum carrying them as it carries us all. And it's that fear of free fall that can keep us clinging to something that no longer works. But our connection, our shared history, our ancestors, our songs and readings and poetry, our spiritual imagination, all of these are momentum that propel us forward. We give each other courage. And the truth is, we are not swinging on these bars alone. We are together in this moment. And we will make mistakes and we will learn from them and we will learn to love again if we are willing to take a leap of faith.
I want to acknowledge how embodied this metaphor of the trapeze artist is. But remember disabled acrobats and blind aerialists whose art and athleticism carries the same metaphors.
There are many words I could use to describe the momentum that keeps propelling us in these liminal times. Calling, mission, whatever it is that acts as a beacon that calls us forward, calls us towards what is most treasured in our faith, that calling of the beloved community. And when I speak of beloved community, I mean the description that Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. offers about a community that practices an all-inclusive, overflowing love that supports everyone's thriving, and a love that cannot tolerate injustice, exploitation, discrimination, and poverty because of the damage these things do to human thriving. Denon Perry ends his parable with one final lesson. He writes, I have a sneaking suspicion that the transition zone is the only real thing, and the bars are illusions we dream up to avoid the void where the real change, the real growth occurs for us. Yes, with all the pain and fear and feelings of being out of control that can, but not necessarily accompany transitions, they are still the most alive, most growth-filled, passionate, expansive moments in our lives. Transforming our need to grab that new bar, it can be terrifying. It can also be enlightening in the true sense of the word. Hurtling through the void, we may just learn how to fly. Oh, I love that ending from Perry. And I want to use it to end with a charge for all of us. Yes, we have been in a time of change and uncertainty for years now. So many bars on which we relied just disappeared, and many of us know the deep pain of being forced into a transition that we never wanted. Naturally, within all of us, we want to get to that next bar, to be settled, to have the pandemic over, to have this transition time done, to be through the grief. However, as much as we all want to find that solidity, may we remember that as Perry offers, the bars are the illusion, and that transition is the only real time, and it's the most alive and growth-filled space. And in that liminality, in that in-between, we may just learn to fly. Because in this world that is indeed at a threshold moment, We need religious communities that are living actively in this in-between time, willing to remain unsettled because so much is unsettled. Communities leaning into and reimagining what prophetic, life-saving, and justice-making ministry and community can be. Communities practicing a generosity of spirit, a generosity of care and belonging, of mutual support, to support one another in love in these times, and knowing faithfully that our values, our spiritual imagination, our interdependence will carry all of us forward. May it be so. And I want to just end with a prayer. Spirit of life, we are mindful of all those who came before us. We are mindful and committed to all those who will come after us. Love, hold us fast to what is best and deepest in us. Hold us close to one another and to all that is our life. And may we keep true to all that calls us forward in love and in liberation. Blessed be, and amen.
New possibilities, experiences, and ideas that we can look forward to as we participate in our own transitions. Do take a look at your bulletin. There are a bunch of announcements today. A reminder to pledge if you have not already done so. Need for flower donations and coffee hour volunteers and a few other things. Was there somebody who needed to, you want to come up? And some additional announcements here.
I'm Nancy Henry, the board secretary, and I'm here to invite you all to the annual congregational meeting next Sunday. It's upon us already. It will be after the church service. It will be in Crowpfeifer. And before the meeting actually starts, we need food. So don't feel pressed if it's not fitting into your life, but please, if you can, bring something to share. We'll make it a potluck. And that way we can all go through the meeting with a full stomach. We are working to make the meeting not as long as last year. However, you will be voting on new board members and a new leadership person. You'll be voting on 6 bylaw amendments, and you'll be voting on a budget. So please come prepared to do that. Everybody's invited to the meeting. Only members can vote. But everybody's invited to come, watch, see how we operate, because, you know, we govern ourselves. If you need an absentee ballot, if you're not going to be here next week, see me. I have those for you. Oops. Let's see. Oh, and I was asked to bring to your attention that we have a new podcast. Yesterday, Matt and Joetta gave a construction project update. So if you want to find out all the information updated, you can listen to that.
Will the budget be available online beforehand?
It is. It's there. All of that is there. All the people who are running for office, all the board, all the bylaw amendments, bios of the board members, the budget is there. It's all online. It's on the website under About Our Governance. Yeah. And if you read the e-news every Tuesday, there's always a link. Clara's a gem. She gets those links in there. I may just, yes. So if you can bring food, and if you can, I know everybody will jump in and help set up and break down. All right.
We're going to close the meeting. Just before the benediction, we'll sing 411, If Everyone Rise in Body and Spirit, Part in Peace.
Go in peace. Stay healthy and well. Remember to honor your own path as well as the paths of those who have gone before.